You sit down, buckle in, and it hits you. This isn't just a flight, it's a 14-hour prison sentence, only with worse food. The space is tight, the air is dry, and every inch around you feels borrowed. Sound familiar? But here's the good part. It doesn't have to stay that way. With the right choices, you can step off that plane feeling tired, sure, but not wrecked. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. No upgrades, no magic passes, just smart moves seasoned travelers swear by. Stick with me till the end, because one small change could save you hours of misery. And it all starts before the wheels even leave the runway. Because once you're locked into the wrong spot, every other trick, snacks, headphones, neck pillows, only goes so far. That's why the first move that matters is simple. Your seat doesn't just decide comfort, it decides whether this feels like a flight or a hostage situation. Pick wrong, and you'll spend 14 hours pinned between strangers, wondering why you didn't just drive. Most economy tickets let you pick a seat as soon as online check-in opens. The catch is timing. Some airlines open the window 24 hours out, others 48. Wait too long, and the decent options disappear. Set an alarm like you're scoring front-row concert tickets, not shuffling in with boarding Group C. And don't just click the first open square on the seat map. Use tools like Aerolopa to see which rows don't recline, which seats are boxed in by the galley, and which spots secretly have extra legroom. When it comes to picking, window seats are a lifesaver if you want sleep. No bathroom traffic, something solid to lean against. Aisles are best if you like moving around or stretching your legs. Exit rows? Great for space, but you'll lose underseat storage and get fixed armrests. And the underrated choice? Back row seats that still recline. Nobody behind you to complain when you lean back. Bottom line, comfort begins with the seat you claim. Nail that choice, and the entire flight shifts in your favor. And if that feels like insider knowledge, the next hack will surprise you even more. You know that moment mid-flight when you stand up for the bathroom and your legs feel shrink-wrapped? You shuffle like a robot, ankles stiff, wondering how you aged 30 years somewhere over the Pacific. That's when compression socks flip the script. They don't look stylish, but slip them on and suddenly your legs stop plotting revenge. It feels like sneaking a cheat code into economy. And here's the bonus most people overlook. They're heaters in disguise. At 35,000 feet, the cabin can feel like a freezer, and keeping your feet warm tricks your body into thinking the whole ride is more comfortable. Flight crews even joke. They can tell who packed socks by who's knocked out asleep halfway through the flight versus who's curled up, clutching the scratchy airline blanket like it's their last hope. Frequent flyers know this. If you peek around boarding, you'll notice the pros tugging on their compression socks right after takeoff. They're not doing it for fashion points. They've simply learned the hard way that landing with legs that feel normal is worth every ounce of prep. So toss a pair in your bag, put them on before you board, and forget about them until you land. Your legs will feel lighter, looser, and that's the perfect setup for the next move. Because once your feet are protected, the real question is, how do you keep the rest of your body from locking up when you're stuck in that seat for hours? Compression socks keep your legs from swelling, but they can't fix everything. If you sit frozen for 10 hours, your body will remind you, loudly. The good news? Just a little movement changes the story. Get it right, and you'll land looser, lighter, and way less cranky. That's why smart flyers sneak motion into their flights. No need for lunges in the aisle, but standing, stretching, and walking to the galley every so often makes a huge difference. On my last trip to London, I forced myself up every 2 hours, even just to refill my water bottle, and by the time we landed, I wasn't the one limping toward customs. Stuck in a window seat? You're not doomed. Tiny moves still work. Flex your toes, circle your ankles, lift one knee at a time. It's stealth exercise. Nobody notices, but your circulation does. Instead of scrolling past the wellness section on your seatback screen, give it a look. Some airlines quietly slip in short stretch routines that seem like filler until you've been sitting 10 hours and your spine feels like a question mark. I once followed along with a 2-minute video on a Delta red eye, and it reset my whole body enough to actually get some rest afterward. So think of movement as your in-flight medicine. Keep those joints awake now, and you'll sleep far better later. Which brings us to the next challenge: how to actually get decent shut-eye in economy without waking up every 20 minutes. On my last overnight flight, I realized something. The people who actually sleep in economy don't look more tired than the rest of us. They just know how to set the stage. Sleep up there is all about small adjustments that add up. First, look at your seat. Those headrests aren't just decoration. Most have little wings you can bend inward. Fold them in, and suddenly your head stops bobbing around like one of those dashboard toys. And that free pillow? Forget the neck. Stick it behind your lower back, and you'll feel the seat go from torture device to, okay, I can survive this. Tiny tweaks, but they buy you real comfort hours down the line. Few passengers notice this one. Check under your armrest. Many seats have a hidden button that lets it lift. Pop it up, and you've got more room to lean or share space with a travel buddy. No plastic barrier boxing you in. Now bring in your own gear. A travel pillow flipped under the chin beats the embarrassing head bob. A real eye mask, not the napkin on Elastic Airlines handout, shuts the world down. And a big scarf? It's your Swiss Army tool. Blanket, privacy curtain, neck warmer, all in one. Here's a sneaky trick a flight attendant once showed me. After takeoff, slide your personal bag out and rest it behind your calves. It's safer than tossing it overhead, and it doubles as a footrest. I tried it on a 10-hour JFK Heathrow run, and by the time we landed, my legs felt like I'd been in premium economy. The best part? Nobody even noticed. I had my own secret upgrade under the seat. Do these small tweaks, and suddenly economy sleep goes from impossible to, I actually got a few hours. You finally got the setup. Neck pillow in place, eye mask blocking the cabin lights, headphones humming soft white noise. You drift off, and then tap tap. A flight attendant nudges your arm for a seatbelt check. Or worse, they shake you awake just to offer the chicken or pasta tray you didn't even want. Annoying? Absolutely. Preventable? Definitely. Stick with me, because the fix is almost laughably simple. Buckle your seatbelt over your blanket or jacket, not underneath. It looks a little weird, but the crew can see you're strapped in without disturbing you during turbulence. I learned this on an overnight JFK Lisbon flight. The woman next to me did it, stayed asleep the entire flight, while I got tapped awake 3 times. By the time we landed, she looked refreshed. I looked like I'd been through basic training. One trick that hardly anyone thinks about: if you plan to skip a meal, lower your tray table before closing your eyes. That way, the crew can set your tray down quietly or just roll past without poking you awake. One time I forgot and woke up mid-dream to a hot foil lid practically balanced on my lap. Not my proudest travel moment. Use both moves, and suddenly your nap turns into real, unbroken rest. In economy, that's as close to first-class sleep as you'll get. Close your eyes on any long haul and just listen. An infant warming up their vocal cords, an engine humming like a lawnmower in the next room, a seatmate laughing too loudly at a sitcom, and somewhere in the back, a snore that could register on the Richter scale. It's less like an airplane and more like trying to nap in the middle of a food court. That's where noise-canceling headphones change everything. I once flew Chicago to Frankfurt next to a guy blasting an action movie straight from his laptop speakers. The whole row suffered until I slipped on my ANC headset, hit play on some lo-fi beats, and the chaos collapsed into silence. Same flight, same chaos, but suddenly it felt like I'd stolen a little pocket of business class. Don't want the bulk? Earplugs can be stealth magic if you actually know the trick. A fellow traveler showed me the roll, insert, hold method. Compress the foam, slide it in, wait 10 seconds while it expands. That cheap little move turned the roar of the cabin into a hush so soft I nearly forgot I was in economy. Some frequent flyers even stack the two. Earplugs inside, light headphones over the top. Looks funny, works brilliantly. And here's the payoff. When you're not battling noise for 10 straight hours, you step off calmer, sharper, and far more patient. Quiet in the sky isn't luxury, it's survival. But sound is only half the fight, because even if you nail the silence, the wrong food or drink can still make your body rebel before you land. On a long flight, what you put in your body can decide if you land ready to explore or stumble out desperate for a nap. Get it wrong, and the cabin becomes a long, uncomfortable ride you can't escape. Let's start with the food. Airline trays always seem to appear at the worst possible time: midnight pasta, dawn curry. A friend of mine once told me about a Chicago-Tokyo flight where she sat next to a guy who devoured not just his own meal, but his partner's too. 6 hours later, he was pacing the aisle, clutching his stomach, while she nibbled on the sandwich she'd packed from home. Guess who felt better at immigration? The rule is simple: skip the heavy stuff. Greasy dishes, salty snacks, or eggs at odd hours can leave you bloated and uncomfortable for hours. Stick to light, low-salt foods that your stomach already knows, like a plain sandwich, a handful of unsalted nuts, or a soft granola bar. And don't rely on the free snacks from the cart. Crackers and chips only dry you out more in cabin air that's already drier than the desert. Now drinks. A viewer once shared with me how she made the mistake of having 2 glasses of wine before a late-night flight to Europe. The result? 7 hours of pounding headache and 0 sleep. Alcohol and caffeine both rob your body of water when it needs it most. The smarter play is water, and not just a random sip now and then. Aim for about 1 cup every hour, or roughly 8 ounces every 60 to 90 minutes. It sounds like a lot, but spaced out through the flight, it keeps your body balanced, your skin less dry, and your energy steady. Want a small upgrade? Toss an electrolyte packet in once or twice. It's like giving your body a reset button mid-air. Eat light, drink smart, and you'll step off the plane feeling human, not like a wrung-out sponge. What about you? Have you ever had a food or drink disaster on a flight? Share it in the comments, because those stories are often the best lessons for everyone else. Holding your phone for 10 hours straight? Forget it. Your wrists will give out before the flight attendants even serve drinks. The smarter move is to turn that flimsy tray table into your own private movie screen. And the hacks? They're oddly creative. A pop socket on the back of your phone turns into a built-in stand. Simple but solid. No pop socket? Flip your sunglasses upside down and suddenly you've invented the aviator theater. Some travelers even hang a clear plastic bag from the tray latch, drop the phone inside, and voila, budget seatback screen. And yes, that TikTok trick with the airsick bag wedged behind your phone case actually works. Silly? Definitely. Effective? Absolutely. Half the fun is that it looks like you're doing DIY arts and crafts at 35,000 feet. But here's the real upgrade. Save content just for the flight. I call it the flight-only stash. That new season you've been dying to binge? Hold off. That podcast everyone's talking about? Don't touch it. When you press play midair, your brain links economy with something you've been craving. Suddenly, it's not just a seat and coach, it's movie night with perks. I've even stopped watching Game of Thrones' new season at home. I save it for takeoff, pour a little mint tea from my bag, unwrap some TSA-approved snacks, and it feels less like survival and more like cashing in on my own personal cinema. So next time, don't just brace for boredom, build your own entertainment system. And speaking of bringing the right tools, the next tip shows why swapping that flimsy plastic water bottle for a proper thermos might be the smartest upgrade you'll ever pack. At security, you see the same thing every time. Passengers clutching empty plastic bottles, ready to fill them at the fountain by the gate. It works, but it's basic. Swap that bottle for a wide-mouth thermos, and you've just unlocked an upgrade most travelers don't even think about. Suddenly, hydration isn't a scramble, it's a strategy. Here's why. A good thermos pulls double duty. It keeps water icy cold for hours, or hot drinks steaming like you just poured them. A friend of mine once brought peppermint tea on a Boston-London midnight haul. She poured it mid-flight, and the whole row leaned over like, "Wait, how did you score that?" Meanwhile, I was stuck with my sad plastic cup, already lukewarm before the seatbelt sign even turned off. And the galley hot water? That's your secret weapon. With a thermos, you're not limited to tea. You can turn it into instant soup or oatmeal at 3 a.m. when the cabin feels endless. Nothing confuses your seatmate faster than you calmly eating hot miso while they're staring down another packet of pretzels. The bigger size is where it really shines. Instead of rationing 3 mouthfuls from a flimsy cup, you've got a proper supply by your side. I once watched a guy try to balance 4 half-full cups of water on his tray. 2 slid off during turbulence, 1 soaked his crossword puzzle, and the last ended up in his lap. Across the aisle, another passenger unscrewed his thermos, took a calm sip, and went back to his movie like nothing happened. That's the difference. Chaos versus control. Bring a thermos, and you'll step off the plane hydrated, calm, and maybe a little smug, knowing you outsmarted the system. And speaking of outsmarting, next up is where to stash your most important stuff so you're not climbing over strangers every time you need something. One of the biggest rookie mistakes on a long flight is cramming everything into the overhead bin and then realizing, 3 hours in, the stuff you actually need is locked up above your head. You either sit there frustrated or do the awkward aisle yoga, climb over 2 strangers, yank your bag down, and instantly become everyone's least favorite passenger. The fix? A small survival kit bag that lives under the seat in front of you. Not a second carry-on, just a slim pouch or tote that holds the things you'll reach for most. Headphones, snacks, charger, lip balm, maybe a travel toothbrush. Think of it as your in-flight command center. When I took my very first long haul, I made the rookie mistake. Every hour I was up in the aisle, digging into the overhead for a book, then a snack, then my hoodie. By hour 5, I felt like a zombie disturbing the whole row, and by hour 10, I was out of patience. After a few of those miserable flights, I finally wised up. Now, I keep a small kit under the seat with only the essentials, and it's become my mid-air lifesaver. So how do you make that little bag actually work for you? Choose something soft and flexible so it slides under the seat without stealing all your legroom. A bag with 2 or 3 compartments is even better. You don't want to dump out half your stuff just to find a pair of earbuds. I once tried using a single big zipper pouch and ended up fishing around like I was elbow deep in a cereal box, hoping for a prize. Lesson learned: pockets save your sanity. Set this up and you'll feel organized, calm, and way less like you're living out of a suitcase midair. Here's something people don't notice until halfway across the ocean. Cabin air is so dry, it turns your nose into sandpaper, your lips into chalk, and your skin into a complaint form. You don't have to suffer through it. For your nose, a tiny, slightly weird trick works wonders. Dab a cotton swab in a thick balm or ointment, zip it in a little bag, and when that desert air kicks in, a gentle swirl inside each nostril calms everything down. A traveler on Reddit swore this stopped their mid-flight nosebleeds on a Denver-Munich haul. I tried the Q-tip rescue kit later and went from scratchy and sneezing to totally fine in minutes. Odd? Effective? Absolutely. Now the non-negotiable, medication. Follow the 48-hour rule. Anything you might need in the next 2 days lives in your carry-on, not your checked bag, and ideally in the small underseat kit you can reach without playing overhead bin Tetris. Flights get rerouted, connections vanish, and sometimes your suitcase takes a surprise vacation to another city. An airport pharmacy closed at midnight won't help, and a customs line is the worst place to discover your meds are in a different time zone. Keep them close, labeled, and easy to grab. Want to step off the plane feeling human? Build a tiny refresh kit and actually use it before descent. Travel toothbrush and paste, a couple of face body wipes, lip balm, hand cream, a small moisturizer. If you're female, tossing in a spare pair of underwear or a panty liner makes everything feel new again. 5 minutes in the lav and you'll walk out looking like you slept, even if you didn't. Comfort isn't just what you pack, it's what you wear for 14 hours straight. Next up, how to dress in smart layers so your seat doesn't turn into a sauna or a freezer. The cabin is not a runway. It's a pressurized tube with recycled air where the temperature flips from freezer to sauna in under an hour. That outfit you thought looked sharp at check-in? 3 hours in, you're tugging at tight jeans and wishing you dressed like it was a Netflix binge on the couch. The pros know. Layers win. Start with something soft and breathable, joggers or loose pants that let your legs move. A light t-shirt underneath a hoodie or zip-up jacket gives you options when the cabin plays weather roulette. And the real MVP? A big, lightweight scarf. Call it the Swiss Army knife of comfort. It's a blanket, a pillow, a neck warmer, even an eye mask in a pinch. One item that solves 5 problems before the seatbelt sign goes off. Now here's what not to do. Skinny jeans, stiff belts, or outfits loaded with zippers and chains. They don't just squeeze you in your seat, they turn you into the person everyone dreads at TSA, setting off alarms while fumbling with buckles. Worse, once on board, those fashion choices transform into a medieval torture device that makes the seat feel smaller than it already is. On a long flight, nobody wins style points for surviving in denim straitjackets. And if you really want to step off the plane feeling alive, bring a quick change kit. Fresh socks, clean underwear, maybe a light shirt, swap into them an hour before landing. It feels like hitting reset on your body. I've seen people shuffle off a 12-hour haul looking wrecked, while the passenger who did a 5-minute bathroom wardrobe change looked like they just stepped out of duty-free. Think of it as your secret cheat code. Everyone else lands rumpled, you land ready for selfies. Because survival on a long flight isn't just about how you sit, it's about what you sit in. Airplane bathrooms are a bit like theme parks. You never want to show up right when the line is at its peak, and yet that's exactly what most passengers do. The second the seatbelt sign blinks off, stampede. 2 hours after the meal service, a conga line stretching halfway down the aisle. Miserable. But smart flyers, they play it differently. The trick is to zig when everyone else zags. Use the bathroom before boarding while you're still in the terminal. Cleaner, bigger, and no turbulence. Once on board, time your brakes for when the food carts roll out. Everyone else is stuck with their trays, so the aisle to the lav is wide open. It feels almost illegal how easy it is. Trust me, it's worth it. Go early, go when others can't, and you'll skip the lines, dodge the smells, and avoid doing that awkward bathroom dance. In the galley, by the time the rest of the cabin realizes they need to go, you'll be back in your seat, sipping water and smiling like you've discovered a cheat code. Because on a long flight, comfort isn't just about clothes or snacks, it's also about mastering the little rhythms of the cabin. And if you learn to move opposite the crowd, the whole journey suddenly feels smoother. Have you ever seen it? A parent juggling a stroller, diaper bag, and a toddler who suddenly decides the jet bridge is lava. By the time they reach the seat, snacks are flying, the kid is wailing, and everyone within 3 rows is silently praying for noise-canceling miracles. Then, almost magically, the parent pulls out a tiny blanket or a favorite toy, and the storm calms in seconds. That's the real trick. Kids don't need luxury, they need something that feels like home. A stuffed animal that's been hugged 1,000 times, the crackers they eat every afternoon. On a plane, those small comforts become big lifesavers. Instead of thinking, how do we survive this flight? Try shifting to how do we make it more fun? On board, you're not just mom or dad, you're also the in-flight entertainment crew. A tablet full of cartoons works, sure, but so do silly games like I Spy, sticker books, or even letting them doodle on the airsick bag. It sounds ridiculous, but to a 4-year-old, it's better than Wi-Fi. The smartest move of all is pacing yourself. Parents who try to power through everything solo usually burn out fast. Families who swap shifts, trade breaks, and give each adult 10 minutes to reset end up calmer, and the kids sense it too. Flying with children will never be flawless, but it doesn't have to feel like a rescue mission either. With a little planning and a lot of humor, the journey becomes part of the adventure. You've survived the cramped seat, the dry air, the questionable meals. Now comes the silent enemy waiting at your destination, jet lag. It doesn't matter if you're 25 or 65, that time zone shift can hit like a brick wall. Seasoned travelers don't just hope for the best, they prepare for it. A few days before takeoff, start nudging your sleep schedule toward your destination. Earlier if you're flying east, later if you're heading west. It feels small, but your body clock notices. Once on board, reset everything the moment you sit down. Change your watch or phone to the local time and try to eat and sleep by that clock. It tricks your brain into adjusting faster. And if you're on a red-eye, don't hesitate to use the tools. Eye mask, headphones, maybe even a little melatonin if it works for you. And here's the extra edge. Tech can help. Apps like Time Shifter or Uplift give you a step-by-step plan. When to nap, when to seek light, when to avoid it. Sounds intense, but thousands of frequent flyers swear by them. Jet lag isn't unbeatable. It's just a puzzle. Tweak your schedule, hydrate smart, and use every trick in the book, and you'll land ready to explore instead of collapse. Because in the end, nobody remembers how rough the flight was. They remember how it felt when their feet hit the ground. Make sure that first moment feels like the start of an adventure, not the end of one. So that's it. Surviving a long haul in economy isn't about luck. It's about knowing the right moves. From the seat you pick to the snacks you pack, every small choice stacks up until the flight feels less like survival mode and more like something you can actually handle. If even one of these tips saves you from a stiff neck, a bathroom line, or a night of zero sleep, then you've already won. Now I'd love to hear from you. What's the worst long-haul mistake you've ever made? And what's the smartest hack you've discovered? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. If this saved you from sore knees or from fighting for the bathroom line, give it a like. Share it with that friend who always books the middle seat. And hit subscribe so you've got backup on your next flight. Thanks for watching, and may your next flight be smoother, quieter, and just a little more comfortable. Safe travels.